Hey everyone, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates podcast. I'm JP. I'm here with Andrew and Dan today. How we feeling a couple days after the Panthers game?
Bit of an interesting feeling so far. I mean, again, super early. My honest thoughts are kind of in terms of how the league goes. Nothing really matters until like the beginning of November, but everyone's figuring out their kinks, seeing where they are in terms of the general landscape of the league. But I think obviously we're gonna have a lot of talking points about what's going on with the team a little going forward.
If you asked me one period into the Florida game, it would have been a lot worse than it is now. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
still not fantastic. But looking around, yeah, like Dan said, looking around the league, no one's really doing too hot right now. I mean, you have Carolina doesn't look that great. The Rangers look really good. Everyone thought they might not look that great. The Islanders are 2-0, but not the greatest. But we'll get there.
Aren't the Islanders have scored what, like 3 goals?
Yeah,
I
they're
was
2-0.
tracking. I was tracking that game last night because I have like a million Coyotes on my fantasy team because they have a bunch. They have a bunch of games this week, and I was like, "Is anyone doing anything like this? Nick Schmaltz have any shots?" And it was like 5 or 6 minutes into the third period, and they had like 8 total shots. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what do they do anything?
I can only
Gosh.
imagine how much of a slug fest that was, like just through the neutral zone, just getting clogged. Especially with the way the Islanders still are, like they're not exciting. It's
They're
gonna just
so
basically be
boring.
Well, lucky for you, you have to wait less than 24 hours to figure it out for yourself. That's
Yeah,
what we
really.
play tomorrow.
Yeah.
literally. It'll be interesting to see, but I guess we can go into a little bit of the recap of the Florida game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrew, you kind of alluded to it earlier. The first period was how you say horrible. Yeah,
Like,
just
super
so
stinky.
bad, so bad. Second period also was pretty bad. As far as I'm aware, I didn't watch the second period,
Neither did I.
but I for sure watched the third period, and that was a lot of fun.
Super
Yeah,
exciting.
once I got the notification that they scored one, I was like, okay, I'll turn it on. And then they scored another one. I was like, okay, now I'm really paying attention. And then they scored a third. I was like, okay, now I'm really paying attention. And then they couldn't finish it off. But it kind of, going back to last year,
Yep.
sorry not to get too off track, but like, it's kind of the same problem. Like, they don't really quit, which is good to see.
Yeah.
Sure, like, I was listening to the SDP today, Steve Dangle podcast, for those people who don't know, like, Leafs podcast, and like, they were kind of like, yeah, when they pulled the goalie late, they started trying, and I kind of was like, yeah, that's kind of how the Devils looked on Friday.
Yeah.
Once they
Yeah.
scored one, they're like, oh right, yeah, we're like one of the best teams in the league. We should probably start trying. And they scored 2 more goals and almost tied it up at the end. But yeah, no, it was good to see Holla get on the board again. I think he picked up 2 points. Mikey got rewarded for I think his overall strong play so far early in the season. Holtz, even though it was off a missed wide open shot in the slot, he picked up a secondary assist, and then Bratt, his third of the year, and Dougie got on board again with an assist. So guys are taking along. There's a lot to clean up, but we can definitely dive more into that.
I think, yeah, like that's one of the big things that we want to make sure we still have going forward is that resilience piece, right? Like obviously we were scrapping and becoming one of the better teams because of our resilience last year. And if that's to be remain the same, especially with how sluggish we've had of a start, especially in starting games, as long as that trend remains the same, that's going to be huge for the team mentality going forward, especially in a really tough division like ours, where we're going to have a lot of division matchups where it's not going to look clean. But if we can thug it out and have that strength to move on through all 3 periods, take it a period at a time, that's really all that matters.
You just say thug it out.
Yeah, thug it out, man.
Okay, I just want to share that.
Of course, bro.
No, that was
I
funny.
mean what I say. I mean, the
No,
Devils
I
are
liked it.
tough.
It was good. No, I like that. It was good.
I do think at least the beginning of the third period, well, maybe not the beginning, but like the first 8 to 10 minutes of the third period was kind of a product of score effects. I do think the Panthers laid back a little bit and got a little bit comfortable, and that's why the Devils were able to score.
After they got that quick fourth one, they're probably
Yeah.
like, okay, this game's over.
Right, and I think that's kind of why we at least got the first goal, maybe the second goal. But after that, like, score effects don't matter after it's a 2-goal game with 10 minutes left. And the Devils in the last 10 minutes of the game they were electric. So much fun to watch.
Especially when we had in sustained zone time too,
Yeah.
especially off the power play, and then obviously the extended when we pulled the goalie the first time to get it within the third goal. You can tell that when we actually get sustained zone time, which is a little bit better than was last season, we can really set up and make teams pay big time.
Yeah, especially man up.
Yep.
Power plays looked
And the-
really solid.
I was gonna say, in a weird way, it feels like their in zone offense feels like way better for some reason. I really can't put my finger on it for some reason. I mean, yeah, it's 3 games in, but like stemming off the power play, they just look way more crisp with the puck and like moving around a little bit quicker. And I did pull up the expected goals from Money Puck, and yeah, they being Florida kind of controlled the game throughout the entire game, and then the last 10 minutes of the game we kind of pulled it back, but obviously too low, too late. But
Right.
I thought Bobrovsky was really good. I thought he had a really good game.
This
Like
dude is just killer against us
The-
all
the-
time. It's so annoying.
the advanced stats might not say he had a great game. Like maybe it was just like slightly above average. Like I thought he made some like 10 bell saves to keep them in the game, to keep
Yeah.
us out of the game.
Yeah.
Because he made some big stops. I mean, this is Jesus Christ, Sam Reinhart had a game. I mean, this is who I thought Florida was last year with they didn't get the results, but like Florida's one. We touched on this in the summer with how their top 6 is. Like, yeah, they have a couple guys banged up.
Yeah.
Like guys are fifth around, but like they went to the Stanley Cup final for a reason, and you kind of saw that on Monday with their top 6, their depth, and Bobrovsky.
Well, even last year throughout the full season, like their results never matched their underlying statistics until the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they
them
just
and Boston,
exploded.
them and Boston were like the two opposite ends
Yeah.
of the spectrum. Like Boston was getting all the results and none of the expected, and Florida was the opposite way. And then Florida was
Right.
like, okay, we're just gonna win.
Right. Yeah. And then I think that's kind of their theme so far this year too, is that the first 2 games, Florida's underlying statistics were really good and they lost. And then they
Yeah.
rebounded in their last couple games and, they've scored a lot of goals.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that last time. It was like they had like 41 shots or something against
Yeah.
Minnesota, but they ran into Gustafsson, who is one of the better goalies in the league, and I don't think he gets enough recognition because of where he plays, Minnesota.
Yeah. I do think the refs have just been atrocious.
I agree.
I
think-
hate talking about it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where every start of the season, the refs are super strict about a lot of things. Like, especially if you notice in the face-off dot, you make one minimal mistake, you're already out. And
Yeah,
they're
I've noticed
stopping
that
in a guy.
too.
And they're like, I know JP, you said this on the last episode, that they're just calling a lot of things league-wide. It wasn't just in like the Devils game, especially against Arizona, where that was really bad on some of those missed calls, and then calling a lot of other things. But I wonder if that's not just the league hampering down, or just the refs starting the season. They want to set the pace and then see how teams are going to react to that, and then that's how it goes on for the rest of the year, where they cool off.
Right. Yeah, I could see both of those being true. I've noticed like even just random game, like I have the Rangers Predators game going on right now, and there have been a lot of calls in the first period, and just some of them are really really soft, some are reasonable, but then at the same time you have refs missing a lot of very blatant calls. So it's this weird thing going on where they're calling everything, but at the same time they're calling nothing.
It's
Like, for
so
example, using the Devils-Panthers game, 2 minutes to go, the Devils had just scored the 3rd goal on the power play. Dawson Mercer gets the most egregious trip against him with
Gus
the ref
Forsling-
right there.
Gus Forsling literally like hacked his stick with the toe of his blade right around Dawson Mercer's ankle, and just gets like cartoon yoinked.
Yeah,
He's down
no,
the
he
ice,
yeah,
and like no call.
and the ref
And even
was
the
right there.
announcers, and a lot of the announcers too, were just like, "Yo, what just happened?" That was like a clear. They thought, "Oh, Devils pulled the goalie. We're getting the man up," and that did not happen at all.
I saw a lot of people, like a lot of Canadian like reporters and like people on Twitter were just like, that was like an egregious call, and because it's the NHL, and because they just had a power play and we just scored on it, you're not gonna get another one.
Yeah, it's
You're
game
just not.
management.
That's how awful it is. We probably scored on it too because they looked ridiculous on the
Exactly.
last one.
If you're
Right,
getting
and it's a 6-on-4. Yeah,
It kind of stems back to it's a perfect encapsulation of how the season has gone so far. They haven't deserved to win. They didn't deserve to win. Maybe the numbers say they deserved a little bit of a better fate, maybe get a point. But like, when you go down 4-0, sorry,
You deserve
like
to lose.
you deserved it. That being said, you deserve the chance to tie it because where else are you looking on the ice? gunning down the left wing. It's him and the Panther. The ref's in the back corner. What are you looking at? The puck's over here. His stick
Bro,
is in his
puck's over
feet.
there. What are you doing?
I mean, they have everyone, the chanting, or everyone in the fans or the stands chanting, like, ref, you suck. I mean, brother, what are you looking at?
Yeah, it was really, really bad.
I don't really get too animated when I watch the Devils, especially early in the season, but I was like literally up in arms in my chair. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like raising my hands, like,
Yeah.
what are you looking
It'd
at?
be
dude?
different
exactly.
if maybe it's like a subtle interference call or
Sure.
Where
something
you can-
like
you
that,
can be
or
like,
like maybe
oh,
a
that's
little bit of like
cheesy.
a nudge. But no, that's like a straight up, clear cut guy gets tripped entering the zone from behind,
Right.
let alone
Mercer went
Because if
from
he doesn't-
here to here.
in like this.
Right, exactly.
Because if he doesn't get tripped, the Panther gets walked, and it's
Yeah.
a scoring chance.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Brutal
this
way
is
for the game to end.
so-
And this
pissed.
is why, and that's why I can't really gauge anything from any team until about November. You're going to start to see the signs for every team. People are going to get settled into their like the systems and line combinations and who's
Right.
going to be with who, and especially
We
with
get
like,
line
different teams with
combinations.
injuries. Yeah,
Yeah, speaking of line combinations, we got new ones today.
Yes.
who's
we
that
do.
Pokemon? But it's like who's that line?
Yeah, we got a little bit of a blender out. I can get into lines. I'll just run through.
Yeah,
really
why don't we just go line by line?
Sure. Okay, so we got first line to Foley, Hughes, Meyer. Meyer's back on the right side, which is something I was asking for last show, which
Yeah.
is. Oh wait, did I say plot? I'm sorry. To Foley, Hughes, Meyer.
No,
Meyer.
you said Toffoli.
You said
Did I?
Meyer, Hughes, Toffoli. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Meyer's
I dig
on
it.
the right, Foley's
I
on
dig
left.
that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, definitely like that
I think
because
just to start with that, I think we have a lot of diversity with our wingers where
Yep.
even though maybe historically in their careers they've played more on one side than the other, our system is so free flowing that it kind of doesn't matter really.
I also trust Foley enough to play on his off wing.
I love the
More-
way he's played so far. The stats haven't showed up. Like I think Jay Fresh had something where he's in like
Yeah.
the top 10 of like he should be getting so many more chances than he's like obviously been generating. Like he should have at least like 3-4 goals.
Yeah, I think he's like negative 1.71 xG or something
Yeah.
like that. He's like,
And all the other players
game.
are on either the Predators or the Blackhawks, which
Yeah.
goes to show that just Toffoli's doing the right thing. Just he's not getting the puck back in the net.
yeah, John Hines is being propped up by some seriously unsustainable shooting. So line 2, Palat, Husher, Brad being on the right again. I like
Dig
that.
it. Yep.
Brad,
The first line from the beginning of last season when Pollock came along. I don't hate it a lot. And you know what?
Right.
I didn't get to. I don't know if you guys talked about this on the last episode, but I like seeing a healthy Pollock this year. There's a
Feels
little
good.
bit more pep in his step. I like that he's on the penalty kill now too. That you can see that he earned a lot of that from the playoffs, and
he's
that he's got a
living
bit
off
more
that,
speed.
he's living off that game 7 month.
Yeah, seriously, but no, like I love that he actually has some speed to him. Sure, he's still like one of the slower forwards on the team, but like you can tell that he's still starting to generate a little bit more in terms of like processing passes through the neutral zone to get breakouts going and being responsible and digging on those boards as he usually does. So
Yeah.
that makes me really happy to see.
I think
There are
he
very
had
few
that
forwards.
one. Go ahead.
I was just saying, just really quick, there's very few forwards to trust more with the puck than Plot, and the other one only is probably like Jack.
Yeah, especially early this season, he's looked phenomenal. And to go back to your speed thing, he had that one play against, I think it was the Coyotes, where he was absolutely flying down the right
yeah.
side and
Yeah,
drew a
yeah, I
penalty.
remember.
Yeah. But yeah, he looks fantastic. Like
I
seriously.
think a nice offseason, especially after a rigorous regular season last year, goes especially for an older guy with that pedigree, makes a big difference for a team that's trying to have big playoff aspirations.
And the guy who's played like over the past, I mean, they showed some statistic. I was watching the Lightning game the other day. Like, I mean, it's no surprise to anyone, or no secret. Like the Lightning have played a ridiculous amount of games because they went to 3 straight Stanley Cups.
Right.
And being, I don't know how old it is, 31, 32, I don't know, 33, but like that takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt. It's like, it's not easy. So I'm sure he was not relieved that, I mean, his body was definitely relieved that the Devils went out early because he had, what, like 6 months to rest or whatever. So
Yep.
It's good to see because I think he's one of my favorite players. He's been one of my favorite players for a little bit. Me and JP actually talked about it. Or no, we were all talking about it right before we started recording. Like Sean Couturier is one of our favorite players because of how he plays the game, like both sides of the ice, we're defensively responsible. It's kind of like Palat too.
Yeah.
Okay. Line 3, a little bit of a weird one, but I kind of dig it. Mercer on the left, McLeod and Holtz because of the Hall injury. McLeod, if you asked me this maybe like 13 months ago at the beginning of last season, I would have been like, if
What?
McLeod's playing third line center, I'm not really digging it, but he's kind of picked up where he's left off, kind of like the back half of last year into the playoffs.
His stock is up big
I
time.
mean, whenever he's handling the puck, I still don't trust. He's probably one of the least players I trust with the puck because I know if he tries to shoot, it's not really going to do too much. But in terms of transition, I guess that's kind of the theme
big
for
point of this line.
that's going to be his role on this line because I don't trust Mercer to do it yet, and Holtz I don't think can do it yet. McLeod is probably one of the better rush transition guys on the team because of his skating ability.
Yeah.
Puck possession, passing is good. I don't trust him to shoot, but that's not his job. Mercer and Holtz are more than capable of doing that. It remains to be seen how well they can do, but for what we're working with two guys out of lineup, I don't really hate that too much.
I really like it. I think McLeod
Yep.
has done a really good job early this year. Obviously, it's only 3 games in, and there's still a question mark on his whole situation. But for now, he looks like a middle 6 center rather than a bottom 6 center.
Big time. I really like this because it's a really young line. You're going to put a lot of responsibility on them early,
It'll
so
be
they
fun.
have a lot to prove themselves, and they have a ton of north-south speed. I love it a lot, especially with the improvements to Holt's skating and his ability to move the puck, exiting our end and in transition. Like I think he's made a big step as a supplementary playmaker in the first 3 games. You can see he works on the board super hard, which is a product of working with guys like Halla, McLeod, and Palat, and that like he's a lot more confident as a skater and a scorer now. Like, granted, he's got a secondary assist to his name so far, but he's not afraid to shoot it anymore, and he's ready to actually be in the right spots. He's like looking around and putting himself in a position to do that, and I think if we continue with that line going forward, there's probably going to get a lot of nice points coming from that line.
It's also just a good. Sorry, just really quick. It's also good like cameo or like trial run with McLeod because like there's gonna be injuries. You don't know if this is gonna happen in the playoffs. You want to see if guys like McLeod can like play up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I dig it. I'm a fan of this line for sure.
I think outside of the top line of Toffoli, Hughes, Bratt, I think, to be honest, Holtz has been our best forward. That might be a hot take, but I think his on the puck and off the puck stuff has been phenomenal. I think he's been really defensively responsible, which we shouldn't really have to expect from him.
But that's a huge plus.
Right, exactly. Yep. And, having that on a third line with the threat of possibly the best shot on the team is just, it's unreal.
Yeah, we would not have considered this when we drafted him either, which is such a crazy thought.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brad's coach. He got him working.
Seriously, he looks so fast. So fast.
Yeah, he looks great. And then line 4, it's Tierney, Lazar, Bastian.
It's so bad.
I don't love it. Listen, if they get matched up against the Islanders' 4th line,
whatever.
I don't care.
The Islanders'
don't
bottom
get killed.
6 is even stinkier, to be honest.
Don't get killed. Bastian hasn't looked great so far this year.
He's just looked bad.
I don't know if he's still injured. I don't know.
He's just trying to be big again. I think he's been doing a lot of the trying to force his physicality on guys and then getting caught out of position and slow in transition back to the defensive end. It's like, what are you doing, bro? This is not what your game was entirely last year.
Yeah, we all feel the same way. It's like, don't chase the body, chase the puck.
Yeah,
like you don't need to take the hit.
Don't have Brandon Smith.
Yeah. It's funny. Our 2 worst players so far are our 2 most physical players.
Literally.
Funny how that works, right?
Yeah, Bastian and Meyer, unfortunately.
This is funny. Oh, yeah, that guy.
Let's be real.
Okay, let's run through the defense. Nothing has changed here. Steven Dollar, Hamilton,
fine.
Ball Marino,
Fine.
And then this is posted prior to injury, but Smith is still in with Luke. I mean, obviously we all know Miller got banged up in practice. I don't know if we have an update there yet. We probably won't until they get back from Long Island tomorrow, probably over the weekend, maybe Monday. But what was it? He took a shot up high and then crashed into the board or something like that.
I think he crashed into the boards.
Yeah. So
that's rough.
And then he went back to the locker room. So hopefully he's all right. I mean, worst case scenario, if Smith looks really bad, this is not going to happen. But maybe they bring up Nemitz. probably
Well, it
won't
depends on
happen.
his health too. Ever since that
Right,
issue that
actually,
happened a
you
year
are
ago.
right. Yeah, I
That
completely
was-
That was
forgot about
really
that.
That was
egregious.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, he got patch-readied. That was
Yeah.
not fun to watch.
Thank God they changed that to curved glass rather than the 90 degrees that they had.
And we don't have any crazy timeline on him yet, but I don't think he's going to be out too long. I'm assuming, right?
No, I think
From,
I think there was like a slight update. It was like they don't think it's like too bad, and that he's probably doubtful for the weekend. I mean, I would imagine like just let the guy.
Yeah,
don't
like-
put him back on the ice.
yeah, like maybe 2-3 weeks max. I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, his
yeah,
health
if
is
that,
obviously
to be
first and
honest.
foremost important.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
he'll get crazy ice time down there, but just stay healthy, please.
I'm going to be a homer for when they finally decide to get him out.
Well,
But
that's your
just
boy.
me.
You've been on him
Boy.
since like 2020.
Yeah, I've been on that. Always the Slovakian guys because that's who I scout
Right.
mostly.
Yeah,
Slovak guys,
every-
Czech guys, always them. Obviously, we didn't get Slavkovsky, but when we got Nimitz, I'm like, bro, this is actually gonna be super sick. Trust.
Everyone's like, no Slavkovsky or no Nemitz, and Dan's like, bro, what if we got one of them? That'd be sweet.
Oh man, I do have to say, as
okay.
much as I like the Nemitz pick, in retrospect, Logan
It was-
Cooley, dude.
Yeah, of course.
Logan Cooley. Oh, man.
Yeah. He looked good in the Arizona game.
Yeah.
What of it? He looked so
As a
good against Dan looked
listen,
so good against the Islanders, huh?
Yeah.
It's just
Game
Yeah,
of the
I have
year.
I have a ton of Cooley stock. He's on my fantasy team.
yeah,
bro.
no, he's great.
I love Cooley. He's gonna be so sick.
Yeah.
And then
I'm
just-
gonna extend JP sentiment from last podcast where he's like, I'm just gonna put all my chips forward on Cooley. He's gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's
Hot
gonna be
take,
great.
he might win the Calder over Bedard.
Nah.
That's a spicy take. That's
If-
spicy.
if the Coyotes make the playoffs and he's like
Their
close to
point
avoiding-
leader.
and like close to point a game, and Bedard like puts up like 30 and 30, and Chicago ends up in the basement. I could see it, but the Bedard stock is just crazy.
Yeah.
More, I think he could do it, but it's an outside chance. And just to wrap up the lines from practice, there were new power play units. It looks like a lot got shifted off the first line power play. It's now Toffoli, Brad, Jack, Nico, and Luke, and then line 2, Meyer, Plot, Mercer, Holtz, and Dougie. I don't really
That's
like
what
that
we
second
saw. The
pairing.
first unit we saw a lot of in the Arizona game, which turned out to be really good.
Did
You
Nico
have both.
Oh, Nico did shift on you, right?
Yeah. Especially during the 5-on-3.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of Palat I like Palat, but I didn't want him on the power play
Yeah.
one over guys like Meyer, Mercer, Holtz, even.
Yeah.
I think the coaching staff saw how effective it was to have both Luke and Hamilton as transporters on the top of the blue line, and then the way they have it is almost like if you ever looked at a dice and see how a 5 looks. You got the defenseman at the blue line. Usually Bratt is in the middle, or
Yeah.
him and Hughes cycle in that bottom or top right if you're looking at it from the top of the ice, and then Toffoli in that like trigger spot on the right for a 1T. And it looks really good because they move that puck a lot in a
Yeah.
triangle with Dougie. But it's nice that there's so much puck movement that they could also generate a lot of shots and still keep zone pressure because Luke and Dougie are just really good at managing to keep the puck in.
I was
zone.
going to say, from like a puck movement standpoint, I think that's probably the best 5 that you could probably go with.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're chasing a game slightly, or if you want more of a shot presence, like if Luke's not working, that's the beauty of having Tim and Dougie. Dougie can just flip Dougie on the top unit, get some shots from the point. Yeah, not too much from the power play. The power play, like we've been mentioning, the power play's been going ridiculous. I don't have statistics in front of me or
I think we're at 50% on the season so far.
the rates or
conversion
anything.
rate.
If someone wants to,
I know we have a 91% goals for percentage on the power play, which
this
is reasonable.
It's ridiculous.
Like,
I don't
it's
know,
reasonable for a power play, but
Yeah.
I don't know how it
okay,
stacks
so
up.
that was quick. So I just pulled up. I subbed to Mike and McCurdy. If you're listening and don't know who he is, check the stuff out on Twitter. Ineffective Math, I think his name, handle is. In 23 minutes of power play time, the Devils are generating 9.84 expected goals for per 60, which is 22% better than league average. So the
Pretty
eye
good.
test is certainly matching the statistics,
good.
and conversely, the PK has not been so great. Still,
I
better
think
than
that's
league
just
average.
everyone in the
It's
league, though.
-7.
Because,
I mean, it's really early in
yeah.
sample sizes and all that good stuff, but yeah,
Like, if you look at the top 10 list right now for any team with, like, the power play right now, it's like everyone in the top 10 is, like, above, like, 50% and above. It's, like, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry, watching watching ESPN Plus. The Canucks are winning.
On the Lightning, yeah.
No,
I need them not to win. Actually,
yeah, the Lightning are kind of wow. Dan, you have Levi. Sorry, this is not Devils related. The first goal he gave up was horrific. Where were we? Power play. Yeah, power play's good. PK needs some work. I guess this one, since we're on the topic of it, since more games have been played, the Devils offense per 60 is 12% worse than league average, and their defense is 20% better than league average.
oh,
So-
what?
That's actually really surprising. I thought it would have been flipped, to be honest.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So yeah, their expected goals against per 60 is 2.24, which is 20% better. They've been most of the chances they've given up, it's felt kind of how it's been, is a little off to the left of the goalie and from the deep point. And the offensive trouble is what you would expect. Also,
Everywhere.
they're not really. Everything's coming from the outside. They're not really getting to the middle.
Right.
You could tell a lot from the Florida game and the Arizona game that we had a lot of trouble trying to get shots through the middle, especially when at least when I was at the game against Arizona, they were ready to block every shot coming from the point and from the wings.
That's my boy Josh Brown.
Josh Brown and John Jersey.
Bro, I had 10 Coyotes in that game.
You're wild.
It was so funny.
Man thinks they're gonna be the Buffalo of last year.
Listen, I was high on them way back in the summer. Everyone was like, "No, you're so wrong." They're gonna be. They look great.
Their forwards are good. If they didn't mess up their most recent draft so badly, I would be a lot more on board.
Yeah, you could have had Michkov and Benson, and that would have been easily the best forward corner in the league.
Right. Too.
Yeah, he looks unbelievable.
I'm watching the Rangers game. I just want everyone to know that Igor Shesterkin just got pulled. It's 4-0 Predators.
It's 4 now?
Yeah,
let's go.
Forsberg just scored a disgusting goal.
Forsberg.
I guess we can talk about how we're looking towards the Islanders. I mean, they don't
Yeah.
have a lot of sample size, just like the Bruins do. I think they only have 2 games under their belt. Which
Yeah. I'm actually really excited to see the new lines and power play lines in action. I think Heischer and Meyer are going to start getting going because of who they're with now.
I think so too.
When you put anyone with Jack Hughes, they're going to look good right now. But I think it's a really, 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 really good way to kickstart Timo Meyer's confidence. I kind of alluded to this last episode, but I think a lot of his problem boils down to historically he has found success being the guy on his line. Yeah. And he's just that whole line has just kind of been no, you take the puck. No, you take the puck. No, I'm going to leave this for you. And no one is taking control of anything. And I think if he wants to find success, he needs to gain his confidence back so that he becomes the guy again. And I think putting him next to Hughes is the perfect way to start.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there. I mean, he said it a lot himself too. He's sun shines the next, sun shines every day. I've got a lot of work to do, but it's still early on in the season. There's a lot of work to us to do. And again, I think about how long Timo has been here, excluding the playoffs. It's not really that much. And when you consider how much the preseason took into account a lot of line blending and no real consistency to build around what his identity as a forward is, especially when it comes to special teams too, we really couldn't find what he should be for us yet. We got him. He's our prototypical forward we need. Now it's how are we going to use him to the best of his ability while putting him in the best position to succeed individually.
Yeah, I think he also said... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, just to go back to the analytics for a second, his numbers were good last year. Yeah. They're not great this year. We mentioned that last show, and they've gotten only but worse since the Florida game. But, I mean...
3 games. 3 games.
I don't. This is what I forgot to pull up, but I don't have it. I think Bill Spalding tweeted something out because Daniel mentioned it on the broadcast the other night. Timo has started slow, three seasons in a row. He's had maybe 1 or 2 goals in his first month and a half of the season. Obviously, you don't want that to be the case, but he is a notoriously slow starter, and I'm more of a process over results guy. So I mean, the process hasn't been great, but I do trust him enough, obviously, because of who he is and his track record and all that. He'll get to where he needs to be, and he's playing with Jack Hughes.
100%.
He'll get there. He'll get his chances, and again, I think it's a good matchup for him. Although I just posted some charts in the chat. The Islanders had a ridiculous defense so far to start the year. Granted, the sample size is small, but I think a more physical team, because that's kind of how he's been playing. I feel like a little bit recently, he feels like he's like not chasing the game, but like chasing the hits more.
Yep.
It's
A little bit.
get more physically engaged. I think he needs just go off your shin pad, go off your butt, go off your head. Something, just see the back, get the puck in the back of that somehow.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be able to do that against the Islanders because I think that if the Devils match up line for line, like they'll be able to take advantage of whatever matchup
I
they
haven't
get.
checked the stats on this either, but have Nico and Meyer really been shooting that much either? At least from what I
No.
remember in a couple of the games.
No,
I feel
Meyer
like they
had
just don't
one
get-
shot attempt against Florida.
I feel like that's another thing too. They just don't get enough. Like even if it's just like a couple rush chances, like just shoot on the goalie. Like I
Yeah.
hate to be the guy that's gonna be like just shoot the puck, but I feel like for those guys to get it
Which
going,
is weird because that's who he is. He's not a sniper. He's a
Yeah.
volume shooter guy. He's like averaging less than like 2 shots a game right now.
Oh
Again,
no!
sample
Look,
size
dude,
is-
he last year he had 4.2 shots a game on average. Shots
That's
on net.
crazy.
This year he has 4 shots on goal through 3 games.
That's
yeah, that's not gonna.
I
Last.
think he'll be fine.
It's not gonna last. He didn't stumble upon a $70 million contract on accident. You know, like he has the track record. He has the skill. Obviously, he'll be fine.
more so just annoying because that line looks stinky.
It
and
looks so bad.
They shouldn't, and they'll get there, but we're sad.
And to be that guy again when it comes to shooting, Nico's been that way too. Like there were a lot of chances in the Florida game and in the Arizona game where he has like a really nice shot towards the right circle or in the slot, and he tries to think that he can find a guy for a better shot, and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah,
There's two sides of that for me. It's like, yeah, I trust him to make the right play because obviously we're here and they're on the ice and like he's the ridiculous passer, but like you would like him to shoot because he started last year. Didn't he score 30 goals last year?
He had a career high, right?
30,
Yeah, no, it was
31.
last year was a career year for him. It was like I think he got like 30 and 50 or something like that. But I mean,
Yeah.
he can shoot the puck. Obviously, it's more so of like probably like a confidence thing or just like a gripping the stick a little too tight. I mean, again, they should be able to take advantage against the Islanders because speed for speed, this might be one of the biggest mismatches in the
Yeah.
entire league. I mean, like I mentioned, they have a great defense. Everyone knows that their offense has been pretty bad. So bad offense against a good defense, we should be able to hopefully limit their high danger chances and give.
Yeah.
I don't think we know who's starting yet. I'm assuming it's going to be.
It's Sorokin. It's
It's
got to
gotta
be
be
Sorokin.
no,
There's
no,
no way.
no. I'm saying for us.
Oh.
Probably Schmid
Probably Schmid. Yeah, they've been alternating
because
before.
he hasn't played in a week.
Yeah.
I mean, we do a good job of keeping the middle of the ice clean. They can't get to the middle of the ice, so if everything holds true to form,
Sort of a goalie battle going into this one, essentially. We'll see
That's the
how
last
one
thing
of
I
our
want,
guys.
bro. I literally want a repeat of our first game against them last year. It was just we beat the
Just
shit
dummy.
out of them. It was like
Yeah.
halfway through the game, it was like 20 shots to 5. We scored 4 goals. They didn't score anything. They looked lifeless. It was 4-1 or whatever. But like, I want that. I want a retro game from last year, just a basket game.
Yeah.
I think this is the best place for the Devils to like assert where they should be as a top team with all the expectations that we as fans have and the media too.
Right.
It's like go against a division rival who's should be weaker than you, whose style you match up against perfectly. Just take the chains off. Just go crazy.
Yeah, I think you might see that a little bit more because I mean it's been evident that they've been all gripping the stick a little bit too tight. Other than Jack, when I mean
And
he's never
Brett,
gripping
yeah.
the stick. Yeah, those two are never gripping the stick too tight because they're always just creating so much magic. But they are. I mean, after tomorrow they play. Their next game is on the 24th, so to have like one
Maybe a little
game,
bit of a back
one game in a week, so you kind of want to. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit not a must win, obviously, but their urgency is going to be a little bit higher. You want to get back on the right foot because then you have 3 games in 4 days, and then the schedule starts to pick up a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, and especially matchup opponent wise, to end this month, just like how we started, these should all be super winnable opponents. I think we play
Right.
Minnesota Tuesday, we play the Capitals on Wednesday of next week, and then I don't know who we close out this season against. I think we
The
maybe
month?
get Montreal, or yeah, the month. I think Montreal's in there. Because
Yeah.
I was starting from the top of that week to the end of the week.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh, wait,
Montreal.
that's the way to end the month.
Yeah, it's Islanders to close out this week, and then it's Montreal, Washington, Buffalo, Minnesota.
Yeah, so all really winnable games, and I think this would be the best place starting tomorrow for the Devils to get on the right foot and be like, let's set our identity. Let's not play to the opponent that we are going against. We're the team that people are trying to beat now,
Yeah.
Let's play our way and don't let other people. Let's not chase things.
It's a little bit of a mentality shift from last year because last year everyone knew we were getting better, but now it's like, okay, the Devils are cup favorites. There's a little bit of a mentality shift around the league. Like guys aren't taking it lightly as they probably were a little bit last year. It's like, oh, these guys aren't for real.
Yeah.
And then it's a mentality shift in the locker room too. It's like, no, like we have these expectations for ourselves. It's like, go and take it. I mean, they can. It's again
It's October.
3 games into the season. You got a good matchup against the Islanders. It's a divisional game. These are all important. You look back at these types of games that are later in the season. It's like,
Yep.
Especially for the playoffs, and if it
right,
continues to be
exactly.
a battle between
Oh,
us
you
and
dropped the
Carolina.
point here. You dropped the point there. It's like you already got off to a somewhat slow start to your standards. You definitely don't want to go into the Montreal game only having 3 points out of 8. So
Right. Yeah. We gotta. Do we have any other topics we want to cover today?
I have my fun Brad tweet that I brought up that I mentioned before.
Let's hear it.
Good friend, Big Head Hockey.
I love Big Head Hockey. They're so
he's amazing. He posted a Brad tweet. He's got 3 games, 3 goals. In quote or in parentheses, all snipes. 5 points, 137 point pace, never too early. 8 hits, +1 net penalty, 56.56 5v5 xGF, which is great. 68.16 all situations. So again, power play humming, and then out attempting opponents 98-44.
Jesus.
And then ranked 81st on ESPN's top 100 list, which I know caught a little bit of a
big flag.
there was a bit of discussion going on Twitter earlier this week about guys in the top 5 who probably shouldn't be there. I think everyone knows who I'm talking about.
Jack.
Well, yeah, no, it was Jack, but there was someone very specific and who was just like, oh no, he shouldn't be there because he's
Yeah.
Some very arbitrary thing. It's like, okay, dude.
Like, to be fair, like, I also don't think Jack is top 5 yet.
No, but like, it's just like more of the same. It's like,
Yeah. Man, that ESPN
No.
ranking was horrible, though. I was
Really
looking at it. It was really
so
bad.
I didn't look at it. Speaking of ESPN, they did a Tage Thompson spotlight like they did with Jack last year. Really good. I watched it last night. Really good. Emily Kaplan she's great.
Dude.
I'm also glad, going back to your Brett point, that like he's actually kind of trying to show up as like, hey, I'm the number 2 guy on this team now.
He looks unbelievable.
He looks so good.
Appreciate he did not slow down 1 second from preseason, where he was just goal every game.
Yeah.
He's still probably the second, if not best, skater on this team. And like you said, that what surprised me was the hitting too. And like, you know what? He's like an effective hitter too. He does it like not like in reactionary, but he'll try to do it as like a means to create separation.
Yeah.
He doesn't put himself out of position too.
He's
And when
been
he does, he
forechecking
follows.
a lot too. Like he's been going deep on the boards.
And I think that's what's huge if you're going to keep him with Jack all year, is that if Hughes is your primary creator on that line, you're going to need a lot of Bratt to do a lot of that other slack. And
Yeah.
for him to chase and forecheck like that is really sick to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Toffoli are probably perfect line mates. I mean, and
I really do love that Toffoli pickup so far.
Brett's built like a truck too. I mean, if you see his
Big legs.
his off-season training videos, I'm sure everyone knows and watches those videos. He's built, so
He
like,
is built.
he can get down dirty. I mean, he's slick with the stick, takeaways, all those good stuffs like Jack. Yeah, exactly. I don't have much else on Brett. Not much else on the Islanders game. I guess we can. Is there anything else? I don't know.
I think we could probably wrap it up, right?
I think we
Yeah.
touched on everything. Yeah. Score predictions. Who's scoring first?
Meyer.
So you don't have a lot of people on the score. You know what? I think Nico's finally going to get his first goal of the season. Probably biased because I'm wearing the jersey right now, but I think he's probably going to get one on the score sheet finally.
The game against the Islanders calls for a gross goal. I'm gonna go Chris Tierney.
Ew! Oh my god,
It's going to be the greasiest, ugliest goal.
dude!
Ever
We
seen.
spent a solid 5 minutes shitting on that fourth line, and you go, yeah, they're gonna score the first goal.
Did you
I mean,
listen to it recently though?
who
It's a
scored
game
the
against.
first goal in the last game? Wasn't it Hella in the first one off that tip?
Hull is a little bit
Steve.
different than Chris Tierney.
I agree, but still, like a bottom 6 goal. I could see a bottom 6 goal being the first one.
Exactly. It's a
breaks the
gross
Like-
game against the Islanders.
Sure, but at the same time, gross goal, but also high end Timo Meyer.
ice. Yeah, I can
Fair.
see that too.
Listen, I'll be happy if you're right, but if I'm right, I don't want to. I'm going to.
I'll
come
give
back
you
on
a
the show on
dollar.
Tuesday.
I'll give you $1 if you're right.
Okay.
All right.
So then
Solid.
score predictions, yeah.
I'm
4-1.
gonna go.
4-1 us.
say, I was
Yeah.
gonna- I'm gonna go back to that well too because I think we get right. I think it's gonna be 3-1, but they score a goal late to bust the shutout.
I don't know. Something in me is like this is gonna be like a really slow game for
Yeah,
us
it's gonna be
somehow.
gross.
Like a 2-1, 3-1 game with like
Yeah.
one of those goals being an empty netter because they're gonna have to pull Sorokin to get desperate. If they had a 1-0 game against the Yotes, who kind of have like they're like a budget version of our like speed and ability. I think like it's gonna be kind of similar, but we have the talent to do so. And I also just think Sorokin is over Shesterkin. I think Sorokin's the better goalie in the league. I'm
Well,
kinda crazy
I mean,
on that one.
Shesterkin looked like shit tonight.
But yeah, I always when it comes to like Rangers or Islanders matchups, Sorokin always makes me scared way more.
Makes me sad because they have the two closest teams at proximity, and we have the worst goalie by some margin. Even
No, trust me, Vitek's gonna be the best one by the
I
end
was
of
gonna
the
say, you
season.
can't even say Vitek's bad, but like these guys are just on such another level.
So good. Yeah.
They're literally 3 of the top 3 best goalies in the league. Like
Yeah.
you can really probably just put Vazzy or whoever you want if you're crazy.
Saros.
Taros Otter if
Yeah.
you're crazy.
Yeah.
Hellebuck.
Who?
Who?
He's
Yeah.
looked stinky too to start this year for the Jets.
A lot of goalies have. A lot of
Yeah.
goalies have. Saros has not looked good. Shesterkin has not looked good.
Fuck, doesn't look good.
Ottinger really hasn't looked that great.
He's actually looked kind of good. I've watched a couple Dallas games. He had the shutout to start the season, and then he had the really good game against Vegas the other night.
That game was the most obvious, like low scoring affair of all time.
And then you know who's still looking good? Aiden Hill. But
Well, yeah. Yeah.
that
That
surprised
kills
me.
me. That
Yeah.
game literally cost us the division.
Yeah, against when we lost in Vegas, we got Aiden Hill.
We had like 9 shots in overtime. Like who does that?
Us.
Us. We do. Yeah, we are kind of built for 3-on-3 overtime, aren't we?
Yeah, it's kind of disgusting.
Hopefully, we get to see more of us being OT winners again, but
Yeah.
not in like the chase down fashion, you know.
I'd like to see that against the Islanders.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
Is that
They're
the
in
place
theory
to-
versus the Islanders.
is that the place
Okay.
to end it on? Let's hope we, get a nice
Yeah.
win against the Islanders.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take it easy.
Later, folks.